You stay there.
We're live.
Welcome back to another episode of the Ryan Ripken Show, episode 37. We're here. Actually, I'm feeling pretty good, guys. It's Thursday. I hope you guys are doing well. Everyone, welcome in. And we got our crew again in studio with me is the kid.
We were almost on time. We were so close to being on time. Joe brought it up. We couldn't go. Someone was in traffic.
Whoa. That timeout. I was good. By the way, I actually got here when we were fine and set up, but things happened. But Zach, great to see you. Rocco's with us, but not in studio, as you can see. Rocco, where are you at?
At work. I'm at the station, and I guess Brad and Zach forgot the memo. We were gonna do the button-up, college shirt night.
Must have been left off that.
Zach underdressed as
usual.
It
was actually you that missed the memo, the hat memo.
Oh, and then there's Brad. Hey, Brad.
Yeah, Rip doesn't have his on either.
Look at these guys. Well, I always try to not wear a hat because we talked about this, guys. Yeah. Looking professional,
better.
That's why I wore my nice sweatshirt today. Classy one. I should wear one.
Yeah, no, we both. Tuxedo. Zach and I both have the hoodies. We're the D-gens, and then Rock and Rip are looking profesh.
Yeah, you just can't teach this look. Right. And it's kind of weird. Rocco and I, obviously, we do the Rip and Rock together. We do stuff together with Fox 45. It's fun. We have a good time. But we're going to have a great time here tonight. The show, it's a lot of fun. You guys heard of Locked On Ravens on here? Everyone? Anyone? Rocco, actually, why don't you explain a little bit more for our guest that we have coming on soon?
Kevin Allstriker. Pretty sure I'm pronouncing Kevin's last name right. I think, I don't want to butcher your name, Kevin. Great dude. Whole lot of Ravens content. He is. What's that?
I said butcher it. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at doing that, even though I have to do this for a living. But no, Kevin's a great dude. Like, I'm really happy to have him on tonight. He knows so much about the Ravens. He's tapped in. And if you don't follow him on Twitter, on social media, definitely give him a follow because his content is fantastic. Always tweeting about the team, giving insight. Podcasts every single week. Sometimes he does them daily, at least a few times a week. So really excited to have Kevin on tonight. He's going to be a great guest for sure.
Yeah, I actually got a fun stat. Sorry, we don't need to see you, Zach. We'll show you in a minute.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back.
But I actually, talking with Kevin before, he's got a nice little streak going for how consistent he is for putting out content for everyone else to hear. He's great. We're going to have him on around 7:30 to talk some shop and obviously with the Baltimore Ravens. We got a lot of spicy topics to get into before then, as well as we're going to go around Maryland. But, guys, I need to tell you about this. I told Zach this. Besides that, it took me 2 hours getting through traffic this evening. 2 hours to drive 36 miles. Big no. Actually, the opposite of a fan of the Baltimore Parkway is Ryan Ripken. What else was about to say? Oh, yeah. I was a part of a scam earlier today.
What?
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Shout out to scammers. This one was actually a lot more thought out. And I got a call from the Border Patrol. And they said, are you Ryan Ripken located at this address? And they had the badge number of the person. It was a woman badge number. They had me search it on the website for whatever. And they go, yes, we sieged the package in your name. And believe, and they go, there's $20,000 and some Colombian Bam Bam that's in the that's in the package, and it threw me through a loop. And they actually were really on par with it. But then I realized the accents were nothing near being from America, so that kind of gave it away. But I was freaking out for a little bit. And then after that, I scraped someone's car trying to get out of DC parking. So your boy had a really rough go.
Right. So one way or another, you're going to jail.
What?
One way or another, you're probably going to end up in jail tonight.
Sure. Yeah.
If Border Patrol storms into the studio, the show
I'm
goes
just glad
on.
I'm not there.
The show goes on.
That'll be amazing content. But that Tahoe, bro, your Tahoe has been through some shit in the last year.
It's a unit. The old one is one that of legend, actually. The 05 Burb that I had growing up, that puppy went through it all. It drove up and down 95 going to spring training all the time. It caught on fire one year. And I still drove that thing afterwards. And I had a couple teammates who were driving to Hagerstown to play that season. Kid you not, shit you not, to keep the car straight, I had to have the steering wheel sideways. And then all of a sudden, my teammates were like, hey, Ryan, I think there's a problem. I'm like, yeah, I know, the steering wheel. They're like, no, dude, your front right tire's on fire. Electric. And then we got towed 2 hours back to the Maryland region. And then I proceeded to hit below 200 for the season. So really fantastic 2016 for me. Enough about that. We're past all this now. And also, if you get into a little fender bender, be a good person. I left a note, wrote my number down. Sorry for being a terrible parallel parker. Ryan, here's my number. Usually I'm really good.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I kind of said that. I said, sorry, I scratched you. Not my best work. And then
he's trying to crack jokes after he just fucking
you know what?
Said my car gets hit and they leave a note and they're cracking jokes on
it. It's not bad enough that you hit the person's car, then you had to leave them a Ryan Ripken autograph as well.
That's what I said. He didn't leave Ripken.
Having anything signed from you on the front of my car.
No, and also it was, when I say it's a scratch, it literally just, it was a little bit of paint. I didn't actually just smack it, okay? But needless to say, was I embarrassed because there was contractors and they're like, oh shit. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm aware. I scraped it.
It's like when you get sent to the principal's office in school and all your boys in the class are like, ooh, like that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's yeah. Anyway, that was my day, but we are past it. By the way, we are done. We're moving forward. We're having a great time. And also, this is good for everyone to know. Let's rock, or is that rock? Hey, now. How we doing there? You think I'm corny there, Brad? How about that?
Yeah.
How about Houston's them apples,
Houston's
baby?
A good dude.
I love it.
Love Houston.
Love it. Great dude. All right, guys, should we dive into enough of Ryan's antics? Let's jump into the spicy topics now, shall we? Number one, guys. Pretty historic game for the Bucks. Giannis balled out. Really balled out, and actually he was obsessed with that specific ball. He had 64 points, but it's not the scoring that got the attention, Brad. It was the antics after, and this is what we're talking about. Giannis, apparently, allegedly, the Pacers took the ball after the game, and Giannis wanted it because it's historic for him. That's his. I think it was the Bucks record at that time, or it was his personal record, both
franchise record and his.
So he wanted the ball, and you can see the Pacers didn't want to give it up. Now on the other side of it, apparently the Pacers allegedly kept the ball because one of the rookie Pacers scored his first 2 points in the NBA.
Yeah, Oscar Tshiebwe.
And can you say that again?
Oscar Tshiebwe.
Yep.
I only honestly said it to flex. I knew how to say it.
And
Tshiebwe.
I love that because
in college too.
So Giannis though went nuts, and that was one of the most reactive reactions you could ever imagine. And guys, let's go around here. And Brad, I'll start with you. What the hell do you think? Is that worth that type of reaction?
So there needs to be a little bit of context. The context is the Pacers and the Bucks were like going at it all game.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this was something that like was kind of like building, and Giannis, of course, overreacted. I think that he could even admit that. And something struck me this morning when Stephen A. Smith was talking about this. He's like, I've never seen anybody get a ball for scoring the first basket in the NBA ever. It's not like to me, it's not like scoring your first touchdown, right? Because touchdowns don't really come around like that easily. But you start in the NBA, you score a bucket, like that's not really, to me, that significant. And so I agree with that. I thought it was interesting for Mark Cuban as well. He actually chimed in on this from TMZ Sports. He said that if he were in charge of the ball at the center of Giannis's versus Pacers tiff, the Buck superstar would be disappointed because he would have given the memento to Indiana. Dallas Mavericks owner said that if you're going to have a rookie who's never scored before in an NBA game, that's a big deal. That only happens once. So he continued. He said, "I give the ball to the rookie," and then he brought up like just like another idea, maybe of just taking the box score, get the teammates to sign it, and frame it for Giannis. I think that's kind of cheesy. I understand where Mark Cuban's coming from, but like, no, Giannis deserves the ball. 64 points. It's a franchise record and his own record. I think that's just going to be way more significant. I understand that you only score your first basket once, but you might only do this once. And so I just don't think that I think that what Giannis did was way more significant. And honestly, when you look at what happened and the things that happened, it seemed as if the Pacers were doing this out of spite and not for their boy who just scored their first bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think 100% was out of spite. Like you said, this wasn't just a game where there was a player who scored their first basket and Giannis put on a career game, and then Giannis was like, I want the ball. And they were like, no. There were a lot of scuffles during this game. It had gotten really physical. These players were going at it for 48 minutes. And at the end of the game, the Pacers, extremely petty, but I think it's funny, decided, okay, we're just going to take the ball then. And we saw everything ensue. There's videos of Giannis running through security into the locker rooms to chase after the ball. He's screaming at Tyrese Halliburton to get the ball back. Guys are going back and forth. And I mean, I did not think a headline in this NBA season would be over a physical basketball who got to keep it after a game. I didn't even know that they kept the basketball, if I'm being honest.
Well, now you know.
Yeah, you learn something new every day.
You do. Rock, what you got?
I would like to add some context to this whole thing.
Please,
Rock.
I'm
add some context. If you guys know the deal or don't know the deal. So in NBA games, there are two alternate basketballs used. You have a game ball and you have another. So basically there's a video, Scott Agnes, 2 S's on the end of his name, posted on Twitter. And it says, video from the Bucks telecast clearly shows Bucks security got the game ball and handed it to a team staffer. You see Damian Lillard shoot the ball after the buzzer. You see the ref then grab the basketball, and you see a Bucks assistant come up and take the basketball from the ref's hand to secure it. Now, here's the issue, I guess, here. Giannis said afterwards he's still not sure that it's the same basketball or it's the game ball because of the feel of the basketball. And NBA players, they're crazy like that. Like they know if you're shooting a basketball the whole game, they know. But basically it says after Shibwe scored his first points, Rick Carlisle says he believed that the Pacers had one of the 2 alternate balls and did not need the official one. What we don't know, still it seems like a lot of people are unsure about this, is if there was a switch that occurred with the official basketball and the alternate basketball throughout, during, what happened. It's a mystery. It was a crazy scene afterwards. I really don't know who should. It's a franchise record. I think you give Giannis the official game ball, you give Shibwe the alternate game ball, and done deal. It's over with. But to your point, Brad and Zach, tempers did flare during this basketball game. There was some pettiness as well. So yeah. I'm sure that added up. That was the fuel to the fire. But we're making such a big deal over a basketball, and it shouldn't be made that much of a deal over. It's like, Giannis, okay, get a basketball. You scored a franchise record for the Bucks. You get yours. Shibwe, here you go. Take yours. You scored your official NBA points. There we have it. Case closed.
It really is. Maybe I would feel, I guess, I say it's not that deep as someone who doesn't have feelings involved in it. I'm sure if it was, I just set a franchise record, my personal best, I would want the basketball. I'm sure if I scored my first NBA points, I would want the basketball. But like you said, Rocco, like, are we really making this a big story in the NBA? Well, we've officially hit that part of the NBA season where the only headlines really have nothing to do with basketball.
Yeah, it was about, like, literally, I didn't even realize. Of course, you see the highlights or at the bottom it says, the lead or anything. If you go on or you get the notifications, Giannis scores 64. But actually, watching it, I would have not known. Like the highlights that got played were not Giannis scoring 64 points. It was Giannis going wild trying to get that puppy. But hey, it happens. It's over. Thank you for the context, Rock. We look good. I say shout out Ronald again for handsome GQ team of Baltimore. That's a compliment, and guys.
We try.
Brad and well, I mean, I think one day.
Thanks, Ron.
I think Ronald means me and Rip. I don't think he means you and Brad. Zach. But you never know.
Hey guys, so this is maybe one day we dress up for a show, dress up for a live show, maybe look the part one time. One time, but since we're on basketball and I see some questions asking about what did Draymond do, and that's, well, what didn't Draymond do over the last, X
Draymond
amount of
being
years?
Draymond.
But Draymond was in another altercation. He already had one this year with Rudy Gobert earlier this season, and this time it lands an indefinite suspension. And we actually have the clip here, I believe, Brad, of showing specifically. Oh, what happened?
We continue to talk about this. I just wanted to show a couple highlights of Draymond Green over his career. So this is actually a video of that. That's the video of what just recently happened. But I figured we could just let this continue as we talk about this because it's absolute bullshit. I mean, like I mean, look at this is his career. This is his career. And the thing of it is like there's a lot of people saying, well, maybe 10 games. I think he should be suspended for the season. Set an example that this shit can't happen anymore because, and this is just Draymond, right? Like he's just been suspended, 3 times this season already? Which is the most that's ever happened, I think, in the last 25 seasons. And I mean, some of the blatant fouls that he has committed have just been insane, absolutely insane. And I'm talking more egregious than some of the stuff that we've seen even in like the 80s, right? Like the Knicks, the Pistons. Like I'm talking about all that stuff. It's just crazy. I get being physical. I get being tough, but like some of the shit that he's done has been absolutely insane. I can't believe the NBA has let him get away with it.
Yeah, it's been wild, right? And I think that we've kind of talked about shit happens. Athletes get competitive, right? Like that's the whole part of it. But the bigger issue is that the intention behind it. After a while, you can go, well, hey, is he just playing hard? Or in some of these cases, Rock, it was this case. Well, even when you slow it down at every angle, I can't justify in any way where you are circling around and your hand is going this high to smack a guy. And honestly, at least if you're talking about a hit, like that was a full on smack.
He made a nice connection there.
Like he was complaining about the jersey grab. If you're going to try to sell something on the jersey grab or try to get a guy off you that's grabbing your jersey, you're going to go for their arm. Like he swung with intent and he claims he doesn't or he didn't, but his track record speaks for itself. He's got 20 ejections. That's the second most all time. Mm-hmm. He trails Rasheed Wallace. Ball don't lie.
Do you think Rasheed's going to be, I saw a fantastic tweet by someone saying that. Do you think Rasheed Wallace is going to be at Draymond's like 30th ejection when he passes the torch like Kareem was with LeBron?
I think it was All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. I think that was the podcast that he went on and he was talking about it. If it wasn't, it was a different one. And Rasheed was talking about, he's like, the 04 Pistons influenced Draymond Green. Like we played a role in who he is today because he was around us, like in the locker room.
I can see that.
And like, it kind of shows with that. But Draymond, it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you have turned into a liability on the court. Your defensive presence aside, we're talking about one of the better defenders of our generation that is just, I mean, he's been praised for it, but he's been so dirty over the course of his career and he's hurting his team, not helping them when you look at it. Like, I really, truly don't understand what's going through Draymond Green's head. Kevin Durant, one of his guys, one of his friends, he did a press conference and he said, I hope that Draymond gets the help that he needs. To hear that, just like, damn, okay.
Are they friends again?
I hope he does too. But like,
they have mad beef?
I mean, they played together and like, they can, unless something's happened like recently, but that's like, they seem like they're
had a falling out. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just don't truly understand what Draymond is doing or what he's getting at out there. And the indefinite suspension, that's perfect. It's well-deserved. So they said he's going to go through training and some counseling and then get him back out there on the court. But how long is he going to be suspended for is the real question. When's he going to be ready to come back?
Yeah, indefinite can be at any given time. It's interesting too. The person I believe that has to implement or talk about the suspensions or is going to have a hand in it is Joe Dumars, and Joe Dumars was the executive for the Pistons in the early 2000s when Rasheed Wallace was talking about it. So come full circle. Yeah, to come full circle with it, we'll find out. But it's not a good look. And for the Warriors, it's just not right now exactly what they were going to anticipate so far as the season has unfolded. Yeah, that's what I got right now. Why don't we cover one topic right now? Or actually, yeah, let's cover this one because, and then we'll bring in our guest though, because I think that it would be an interesting discussion because it involves a Ravens rival, Brad.
Yeah.
But want to talk real quickly about Bill Belichick. And the spiciness of this is, I think people have wondered over the last couple of weeks, is Bill going to be done in New England? Is this the end of an era? Yeah,
end of an era. Yeah.
End of an era.
Era.
Is Bill Belichick going to be done in New England? How about that? Let's just say that. So is Bill done? And we have a video here that's kind of alluding to this conversation about Belichick's possible future if it happens to be the end in New England.
Yeah, so I actually have two videos that I wanted to cover because one of them is from Tom Curran, and he is a beat writer for NBC Boston, and he was the one that kind of broke this news about how Bill Belichick's future was decided in Germany. So I wanted to play this for you guys real quick, and then we can kind of get into what some of Bill Belichick's former players actually said about him and what they think about this entire situation. So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
The Kraft's decision was a final decision, or was there any wiggle room if they finish with a flourish and win out the rest of the way? Could ownership change its mind?
Based on the conversation I had, it felt as if the decision was fairly well sealed. However, I mean, if the Patriots finish with a flourish, could things change? I mean, it's 28-3 right now. And we know that that's not an insurmountable deficit, but it's very late in the game. And what's the tenor if the Patriots reel off, 4 straight wins, 2 of them against really good teams, Kansas City and Buffalo, the Denver game is ahead of them. But is that enough to wipe away the evidence that led to the feeling after Indianapolis and the game in Germany and all the games prior, the Saints game, the Cowboys game, the Commanders game, the Raiders game, the blowouts, the dysfunction at the quarterback position, which only grew worse in the weeks after the Giants game, the Indy game. You had a week off, then you came back after the Giants and had the Giants, and Mac Jones couldn't make it into the second half. And then you had a shutout against the Chargers. So, it's the nature of the losses and the product on the field and the promises of improvement that the Kraft family made to their season ticket holders that led to that decision at that time. Could a flourish change things? Could Bill Belichick turn on the charisma and the charm and unearth a plan for going forward that at the end of the season, the decision changes? Until it's done, it's not done. And everyone reserves the right to change their mind. And there was no juncture at which I said, okay, final answer. It's your final answer, because you're just not in a position to do that.
All right. So you kind of get the point there. Let me pause that. So, obviously just kind of talking about the 28-3 reference, talking about the Super Bowl and the Patriots comeback there. Basically, Tom was trying to say that, it's not necessarily a done deal, but he had reported that there was some rumblings and there was kind of some decisions made around that Germany game and how things were pretty bad. The one takeaway that I had about this was the Patriots, the Kraft family, they're not used to a rebuild. Robert Kraft came in and really didn't have a losing season except for maybe the first season he had come into to ownership, maybe first or second. He's owned the team for about 30 years, give or take. And so I don't think that he's truly seen this dynasty and then now we have to rebuild. So you just kind of have to wonder what their thoughts are, because I don't think that there is any arguments as to Bill Belichick being the best coach of all time. And so to me, my thought is if I'm an owner of the Patriots, if I'm Robert Kraft, I have to understand that finding a quarterback, and we've already seen it this season, finding a quarterback that's going to be your guy is extremely difficult. And to be honest with you, the Patriots defense is actually pretty damn solid. It's just their offense that's really terrible. And it all starts with the quarterback. One last thing before we get into your guys' reaction is this reaction from Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman on the Kay Adams show. And this is kind of what they have to say about it.
I don't think it's like 100% done. You know, I think there's probably like, isn't the person, the source in to know, I don't know. I don't think either of them on either side are thinking about that right now, or at least on Bill's side. Bill's is probably just going to play the season out and worry about trying to win football games. But it won't hit me until it's actually, hit. So I don't even know where to go with that.
Why is it
What
so
about
hard
you,
for you to
Roberto?
believe?
I agree with Julian. I think those reports are kind of, they're not, too far stretched out there, but they're kind of false still, because I think there's still some season left to play. Coach Belichick can definitely prove himself. And if you asked him in the media this week, I saw the media people were asking him the questions, hey, are these reports true? What do you think about it? And he just kept saying, I'm on the Kansas City, which I think is a great answer. I think that's the best way to handle it. And I am.
So there's the reactions from former players of Bill Belichick, obviously, future Hall of Famers. So I think, I put a poll out within our group as well. So far, there is some mixed results here. So I asked, where's Bill Belichick going next year? Patriots, Chargers, Commanders, nowhere. And he's just going to retire after this year. It's pretty split down the middle so far. I'll keep the poll up for a little bit, but fellas, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll open and shift it to you guys here, and we'll start with Zach after. But as a player, anybody that's in it, yeah, you got to keep playing, and even if things aren't going well, your thought isn't going to go, well, shit, I'm done. You can think, man, this season's been brutal. Things have not gone your way. This is not what I was hoping. And for Belichick, he'd be probably one of the few people that actually can have a conversation for how long he's been there of, this could be a possibility, but I'm with them. I think Bill is so focused as a professional, and the guys in that building are going to focus on winning because that's their job. And everyone outside of that building is going to focus on where the hell is Bill going to go or what's going to happen to him. And that's the reality of it. In that building, while it's still going, if you're a pro, your job is, if you're a pro's pro, you go back to work and you keep working and you deal about other shit later. Zach, what do you think?
I sit with what Edelman said. Until it happens, I can't really, it's not going to hit me until it happens, if that makes sense. And I physically do not know in my life a Patriots team without Bill Belichick at the helm. So it is just one of those situations where it almost, until it's official, until he says, yeah, we're going to go our separate ways, I don't believe it. And these reports, yeah, there might be truth to them. I think there are discussions being made, but I also don't think that the Kraft family and how they operate, how Bill Belichick has operated in their relationship, I don't think a leak would get out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's understandable. Rock, what you got?
You guys remember the date the Germany game was played against the Colts? It was like November 12th. You remember the day? You remember the day that Dan Orlovsky came out with the report that he believes that Bill Belichick will be joining a new team next year? It was 2 days later, and then this gets brought up. So, to me, the same thing. It's not going to feel real until it does happen. And media-wise, I don't know if someone from NBC Boston or NBC Sports Boston, like Dan, is going to put that out there if there's not some truth to it. He's not going to risk his career over saying something as dumb as that. If it's not dumb, I'm just, what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to say something that's doesn't have any truth to it if there's not any truthful substance to it. So the writing does seem like it's on the wall. Like they said, though, is it, if he rattles off a few wins, do things change? Maybe, but it's really seeming like that this could be a Patriots team without Bill Belichick at the helm next year. And that's crazy to even think about or say out loud right now.
You know what's crazy to me is that Zach is 23 years old, and he just made me realize that Belichick really has been coaching his entire life. So
as I said that out loud, I actually realized that was true.
Coaching
him and
Brian
Cashman. I've never known a life where the Yankees aren't run by Brian Cashman.
That's wild.
That is, you're a good kid. You literally are a kid.
But yeah.
And we're gonna
stay young.
We're gonna work on dress code. Hey, you're as young as you act and as you feel, right? So
exactly.
But we will dive more back into that. But we got a guy waiting actually. Locked On Ravens, Kevin Ostreicher is actually ready to join us because we got a big week upcoming for the Ravens, and also he's a great guy, and we've been waiting to do this for a while. So Kevin, I think, is backstage. I think he's been waiting long enough. Kevin, there he is. Kevin. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, I appreciate you having me on. It's been in the works for a while, and it kind of helps. The Ravens are playing pretty good football, so we actually have something of substance to talk about here.
Yeah, actually, not only are the Ravens playing pretty well, they're the number 1 seed playing that well, and actually, the other part of it, it's 4 weeks to go. Vibes are pretty high here, and I think we've seen, Kevin, a lot of people can be quick to judge when something goes wrong, but overall, there hasn't been a ton that's gone wrong for the Ravens so far this year.
No, and the vibes have been good. I mean, you're right about it, where it almost feels like there's some magic. And I mean, you talk about magic. Tylan Wallace literally kind of put the fairy dust in the air on that punt return. But something I've been saying, and it's not me trying to jinx anything, so please don't take it that way.
Oh, we're taking it that way, Kevin.
All right. Well, with the health situation the Ravens have had this year, they've lost guys, right? They've lost them. They've lost Marlon Humphrey 2 times. They've lost Marcus Williams 2 times. They've lost Ronnie Stanley 2 times. They've lost guys. But when it comes to the season-ending perspective of things, it's been J.K. Dobbins in week 1. It's been Mark Andrews, and we still don't really know. That timeline's very vague, so maybe he comes back. But other than that, I guess David Ajabo with the torn ACL. And health is a factor. I mean, look, I'm a Denver Nuggets fan. I'm talking about Draymond earlier, bringing the basketball into it. The Nuggets were fully healthy last year, and they won the championship. Part of it, LeBron was hurt, AD was hurt, this, that, and the other. You got to have health. Health does play a factor, and hopefully it stays that way for the Ravens because, I mean, it's a big thing.
Yeah, it's been exciting. And also, by the way, because I didn't do this to start off, but this guest episode, or part of it, is sponsored by Adams Jeep, our friends at Adams Jeep. Brad's got an absolute beast of a Jeep that he drives up and down the East Coast so many times. That thing's a tank. And Adams Jeep, we're going to have more of the graphics here when we post this later. But what are we laughing at, Brad? What did I do this time?
You're great at these.
Just like announcing that we're going to post.
Yeah, we're going to put the graphics on that later.
Okay, I guess sometimes
be on there when you're talking. You jabroni.
Yeah.
Shout out Adam's Jeep.
We should do an episode out of Brad's Jeep.
We'll polish up Ryan's plugs in a future date. We'll make sure we'll take care of Adam's Jeep.
Kevin, you see the shit that I deal with? I mess up.
I mess above his right shoulder while he's talking.
Yeah, I mess up and I'm the asshole with this,
This is the payback for the Rocco Short King stuff, which, by the way, Rocco, I know we got to stick together on that, you and I, because I am a Short King with you.
Yeah, so yes, sir. Exactly. They can't put my face on Lord Farquaad's body. I'm tired of that, man. Ridiculous.
Just wait. Tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. We're gonna have a Friday video.
See what you guys got in store now.
Oh, I can't wait either. It should be a blast. What was that?
Huh?
You're a good kid. All right, hey Kevin, let's talk some more Ravens here. So there is a possibility, not that this is kind of already, we believe it's already set in stone, but the Ravens are probably clinching a playoff spot. It could be this week, technically, but that's not really the biggest thing on people's minds. The biggest things on people's minds right now, quite frankly, is Jacksonville getting this win, because if the Ravens can get this one, then the last 3, you're feeling a lot better. Walking us through going to Jacksonville in general has never been a strong game or a strong place for Baltimore and go win.
No. For no reason.
Yeah, you're right. I'm like, I don't really get the correlation, but it's been weird. They've had struggles there. And I mean, look, Jacksonville's a good team that kind of came out of nowhere last year, had the game against the Chargers, where I still don't know how Brandon Staley's employed there after that, but somehow he is. But with Trevor Lawrence being who knows what percent on that ankle right now, Christian Kirk was a huge loss for him, and they're kind of skidding. It seems like they've been up and down, and they're kind of in a lull right now. You don't want to. I talked about it with the Chargers because we know how bad they are in one-score games. I don't know the record, but it's not good.
Yeah,
you don't want to be the team. You don't want to be the team that lost to the Chargers in a one-score game. You don't want to be the team that gives Jacksonville their mojo back. And we know the Ravens, they play up and down to their competition. It's every team does it, but with the Ravens, I think just because we're so plugged into them, it seems a little more extreme because they do it so often. But I do think that Jacksonville is a team where you can take advantage of a lot here. Baltimore has the best pass defense in the league in terms of net yards per attempt. And you look at what Jacksonville's doing right now. If you can hold that up, Jacksonville's currently 12th in the league in passing. You can make some things happen, but Jacksonville has the 28th best pass defense this year. They're a young defense. They've made some mistakes. Doug Peterson talked about how they were making mental mistakes last week and making weeks 1 and 2. I mean, those are things you can take advantage of. And it's a primetime game. Don't know how the Ravens only have one home primetime game this year. That's already passed with Cincinnati. I wish they had another one. Maybe the Dolphins game gets flexed, although it's New Year's Eve, so it might be a little difficult to do that. But I'm excited for the Jacksonville game, although I'm expecting a close game because I just don't know the kryptonite of Jacksonville. It's almost like Kansas City back in the day with Mahomes before Lamar beat him. It seems like it's the kryptonite of the Ravens right now.
Yeah, Kevin, I appreciate what you're saying, but I think that there's also a possibility that the Ravens go in there and absolutely put a pounding on the Jaguars.
Sure,
I mean, we have seen what the Jaguars have done against Super Bowl type contenders in the 49ers, right? And I would say that that the Ravens are right there, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So anytime the Jaguars have gone up against a strong defense, they've really struggled. I would say that we're looking at the Chiefs, right? The Texans, they lost by a ton, and you make arguments about that Texans defense, but Ryan and I have talked about how we really like that squad over there, even though they are also a young crew. And so you start to look at these teams. 49ers, they lost 34-3. It was just absolutely crazy. Now, granted, it was in San Francisco, but do you think that there is a possibility that an absolute slugfest and then really kind of like blowing them out is certainly on the table, given that what we've seen from the Jaguars already this season? And they beat up on the easy teams, but when they come up against Super Bowl type contenders or playoff teams, it doesn't seem like they do quite as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, sure. There's 100% that possibility. I mean, we saw it with Seattle and Detroit. Those were games that leading up to them, everybody said, oh, this is going to be a close one, come down to a field goal. And then the Detroit game was, I think it might have been the fastest I've ever seen a game be over. Like I thought by the time the middle of the second quarter happened, the Lions are going for it on like 4th and 6 at their own 49 with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Ravens were up 28-0. The Ravens can do that this year, and it's complementary football. I mean, we talk about it all the time where the Ravens defense is so good this year where you feel good enough to where the offense has scored 30 plus points in 6 of the last 7 games. The Ravens offense puts up 30 plus with that defense. I mean, you're feeling pretty good. The Jaguars offensive line also has been pretty terrible this year. They're not great. And we know with the Ravens defense and that defensive line and how physical they are, if the Ravens can shut down Travis Etienne, get out to a big lead, and make the Jaguars offense one-dimensional minus Christian Kirk, and then, you put Marlon and Brandon Stevens on Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones, Parker Washington also a factor, I think you have a pretty good shot to win. You got linebackers and safeties. If Kyle Hamilton does play, we'll see, but he can match up on Evan Ingram pretty well. I think the matchup does favor the Ravens. And with what we've seen, the Ravens offense hasn't been, fully consistent this season, but putting up 30 plus in 6 of 7 is impressive to me. And against the young Jacksonville defense, I think if they can get out to a 14-3, 10-0 early lead, that might put Jacksonville in a hole to say, well, the Ravens have already scored this many points in the first quarter. Our offense is kind of struggling a little bit. What are we going to do now? You mentioned, Brad, I think it's a good point about the defenses. Well, the Ravens themselves are the best defense in the league, in my opinion. So what happens if the Ravens get out to that lead? I think it could be a game where the Ravens just roll, and it'd be big for them going into a big Christmas night game against the 49ers.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It would be nice for them to just roll to a victory, wouldn't it? But I just do not feel that that's going to happen. I want to believe it. I'll see it when I believe it. Rock, I see you pondering up there in the top corner.
Just always pondering. Kevin, as a Ravens fan, I'm sure it was a nice sigh of relief to see Kyle Hamilton back on the field. He's got the knee brace, but to even be limited after that injury, you see the Twitter doctors say, all right, this could be significant. And then to see him get back on the field, and I mean, he's moving significantly well. He's definitely not 100%, but to have the knee brace on, to be at practice, to be moving around, going through drills in a limited fashion, do you even want to see him step on the field Sunday night? I know the Ravens are a better team defensively with Kyle Hamilton on the field. He's their Swiss Army knife, but should they even risk it? Do you want to see him out there on the field, or do you think maybe rest Kyle Hamilton for the long haul?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question, Rocco, because this Jacksonville game, and, people can argue it. I've seen plenty of debate on social media, but which game is more important? Is it Jacksonville or is it San Francisco? And when you talk about conference games, I mean, look, Jacksonville's the game that matters for the 1 seed. That I kind of put it out into 3 tiers with losses. The worst loss you can have is a divisional loss. It counts as a conference loss, makes your division record worse. Then it's the conference loss because that can impact playoff seeding. Then it's the NFC games. And I get that everybody wants to see San Francisco's the possible Super Bowl preview, great Christmas night game. But for Kyle Hamilton, I know people might not want to hear it, but if he's not 100%, which I know at this point he's not, I'd probably rest him until Miami, which might be a hot take. But the Miami game, I kind of circle on the calendar. I think Baltimore can win against Jacksonville without Kyle Hamilton. I'm not saying it's going to be easy or anything. The San Francisco game gives you a barometer of, hey, San Francisco is now acknowledged as probably the best team in the NFC. Baltimore's being acknowledged probably as the best team in the AFC. You clash those two together. But I'd want to have Kyle Hamilton as close to 100% as you can get for that big Miami game, then to round out the season. And it's almost a miracle he's out there right now practicing the way he is with the injury he suffered. I'm very glad. I mean, the replay looked a lot worse than it was, which we've seen a couple times this year with Ravens players. But I think the goal is not to win against Jacksonville in a regular season game. The Ravens are going to make the playoffs. They're likely going to win the division here. Even if they don't get the 1 seed, I trust them. But part of that trust is, can they have their guys available? If Kyle Hamilton comes back against Jacksonville and then he re-aggravates the knee and he's out for the playoffs, I mean, imagine the backlash. Imagine the discourse on social media and on TV and radio that would get. I mean, I'm playing the long haul. They've done that with JK. Ever since JK got injured in 2020 or 2021, I feel like they've kind of taken that cautious approach with their guys. There's a time to kind of say, hey, we need you out there. We need you out there. That time's the playoffs to me. It's not the regular season. So I'd play it safe, in my opinion.
Hey, yeah, we want, and no one's bigger Kyle Hamilton fan. Well, we all are, but
yeah,
Zach's got a bromance.
If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. A 100% healthy Kyle Hamilton in January is way more important than a 70 to 80% Kyle Hamilton in December. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Kevin. Yes, it would be cool to see him out there against Jacksonville, against San Francisco, but the Ravens should be able to match up well against Jacksonville. The 49ers Christmas game, like you said, in the tiers for how a loss would rank them, that's the one you're okay with having over the next stretch. So that Miami game's the one for me too that I have circled them. Like, this is where I hope he's 100%, and to get back to that point where he can be this dominant player and playmaker that we know he can be. So let me go to the other side of the ball. Something interesting over the past few weeks, I guess, a development has been how the running backs have been used. I'm going to bring up my other boy, Keaton Mitchell. Is that okay, Rip?
Yeah, of course.
I was going to say, I just need to make sure. I have to approve things with them before I say it.
Yeah, because it's the show is named after me, so I appreciate that.
If you didn't know. But Kevin, how have you seen the carries, I guess, be handled? Because it seems like now suddenly between the 20s, they like the way that Keaton Mitchell gets the ball.
Yeah, I mean, with Mitchell, he's your guy that is that the lightning in the bottle, the electricity. And it seems like, at least to me, every time he touches the ball, I know it's not literally every time, but every time he touches the ball, it feels like, oh, this is going for 10. This is going for 15 or 20. He has that explosive element to him. The thing that surprised me with him is, I think coming out of college, I was on him, East Carolina, I was a big fan of him. I'm very glad the Ravens picked him up. But people were like, he can only get to the outside with his speed. He can't run between the tackles. He's someone that is just a small guy that when he gets hit first contact, boom, he's going to go down. But he's been really strong in between the tackles, breaking contact. And a lot of his yards have actually come after contact, which I've been very impressed with. This isn't a shot at Gus or anything. Gus is, I don't want to say slowed down, but it's kind of looked like Mitchell has the juice at this point in the season. And it makes sense. Mitchell's a rookie, hasn't had a lot of run. Gus has a lot of wear on him. Maybe not as much as other running backs at his age because of the injury and the way that they've kind of split JK and Gus up over the past couple of seasons. But if I'm the Ravens, I can't have games like what happened against Cleveland where Mitchell got, 4 total touches and they lost that game. It felt like they missed an opportunity there. It hasn't been that way since Cleveland, and the Ravens acknowledge it and have gotten better. But I'm kind of working in this as a committee where Keaton Mitchell, to me, is the beneficiary. I think he's the guy who you want to have on the field. It's gotten to the point that he's looked so good where you want to have your best playmakers out there as much as you can. You want to work in Gus, and I think it's a very good, in the middle of having the big bruiser with Gus and then having the lightning in the bottle. And then Justice Hill is kind of the in-between of both guys, so it fits perfectly. I know we were talking about Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, but it seems like their running back deadline acquisition was the one of Keaton Mitchell. So
we had Saquon at home. We had Saquon at home.
Little smaller than Saquon, but he gets the job done. So
the quads are a little different.
It's those weird kind of storylines that happen in like December, November. I mean, Malik Cunningham came out of nowhere. That's a storyline that's for the future. But I think Mitchell's a guy you want to put out there and have on the field as much as you can because he's so explosive.
He just gives me mad Isaiah Pacheco vibes. 2022 Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs last year. He's given me big, like undrafted rookie out of nowhere. Was Pacheco undrafted or was he 7th round?
He was a 7th round. Yeah.
And he just all of a sudden late in the season, he just takes over and goes on this playoff run. And I could see that being Keaton Mitchell's kind of role this year.
Hey, Keaton's looked special. He's looked explosive. He's looked dynamite when he's had the ball in his hands. Hopefully there's more of that. I do think the Gus the bus, though, as this weather gets colder, and it's been a weird winter. It always is weird in the mid-Atlantic. When the weather changes even more, Gus the bus will be utilized. But I'm with you, Kevin. Playmakers, give the ball, give the players the ball in their hands that you want to have in their hands, especially in big moments. And that should be exciting. And this Ravens team in general, I love that you talked about that, this is an exciting time. This is what everyone waits for. The last 4 games, and realistically, the AFC games matter more. No one likes to say that, but that is true. You lose to San Francisco, it doesn't really matter. If you beat Jacksonville, Miami, and Pittsburgh, you're the number 1 seed. We walk away, we're feeling good. But you know what I'm feeling great about, Kevin? I'm getting all fired up about this. We had Sean Merriman on the other day, lights out, dude. And he is lights out. By the way, he said he'd kick Zach's, or he said, oh, there he is. Well, when your phones and your hands are up like that in your phone, Zach, it's not going to work.
Sorry,
out.
I'm trying to get stuff out right now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Just working.
You're a good kid. He's always working, Kevin. But what was really interesting to us was him talking about the addition of Chuck Smith, because Chuck Smith, Dr. Rush, was a guy that he really liked. We're going to play the clip for those that haven't seen it, and then we want to talk about that on the other side here. So, Brad, if we have the Chuck Smith, let's let it roll what Sean Merriman thinks of the Ravens outside linebacker coach.
I work with him for hours, sometimes twice a day when I go see him. So when I saw them bringing him on the staff, I said, you know what? They're about to look a whole lot different. Because Chuck is, when it comes to teaching, there's nobody better that I've worked with. And I've probably worked with 10 or 15 different pass rushing coaches in the country. When I tell you the technicality of what Chuck does, it's no surprise that Jadeveon Clowney has bounced back. He went missing for 3 or 4 years in the NFL.
He did.
We see flashes of him making big plays here and there when he's in Cleveland. His tail ended up with the Texans. We see flashes. We haven't seen him play like this in the last 4 years. Look what they're doing. Look what they're building out there. Look at their attitudes. Look how they're making tackles. They are finishing, punishing guys. They're the most physical team, in my opinion, in the NFL, in their style of play.
So right there, you heard Sean Merriman's appreciation for Chuck first off. And to be honest, I think he's onto something here, because this Ravens pass rush the last couple of years, that's been something they've been missing, Kevin, right? They've been missing that piece of getting to the quarterback. And this year, you're seeing a renaissance of Jadeveon Clowney. You're seeing Matabike dominating. And even though everyone thought he was going to make a leap, he's not just a fantastic defensive tackle. He is a bona fide. He is a premier pass rusher on this Ravens team. Can you touch a little bit on that? Because that has honestly been the biggest upgrade, I think, for this Ravens defense, especially with closing out games.
Yeah, the Ravens made a lot of those little. I know the big one was Todd Monken, but they made a lot of little adjustments to their coaching staff, and one of them was bringing in Chuck Smith. And for years, I remember talking about it on my show, seemingly every offseason, every game, the Ravens had a lot of trouble generating pressure without blitzing. They were exotic in their blitzes. Their looks were good. But when it was time to drop guys back in coverage and say, hey, go win a one-on-one or go beat this double team, it was really hard. And you saw quarterbacks step up in the pocket 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds to throw. And I think the Ravens kind of changed their identity in the offseason with their defense to be, the first word that comes to my mind is physical. Jadeveon Clowney is a physical dude. We knew what he can do in the run game. He's graded out great there over his career, but he's never had 10 sacks in a season. He's hovered around either 9 or 9.5, or he's had a half a sack with 3.5 sacks in a season. We've seen consistency from him. You mentioned the defensive line. And I remember in the offseason, we would see for Adafe Owe, he was working on his the long arm bull rush. And that was something that Chuck Smith was trying to get him, because I think a lot of people, after a pretty solid rookie year from Owe, the drop off that he had was substantial last season. So this was a big year for him. And it just seems like guys are buying in, and it's the looks that Mike McDonald is kind of cooking up here with the combination of the techniques that Chuck Smith has. We've seen a guy like Tavius Robinson, who I expected to have little to no role this year because he was raw coming out. And obviously injuries have played a part with David Ojabo going down. They've needed guys to step up here and there. But Kyle Van Noy was sitting on his couch at the start of the season. They bring him in, and I thought he should have had a job before that. But still, Chuck Smith comes in, and he has this pass rush humming on all cylinders. And the stat here is the Ravens broke their total sack total from last season. They have 49 now. They had 48 in all of 2022. We're starting up week 15 here. So it's been a huge part of why the defense has been successful, because you want to kind of marry the pass rush and the secondary, where the Ravens have the best pass defense in the NFL, but the pass defense doesn't have to cover for as long if guys are getting to the quarterback in a short amount of time. So it's been awesome. Chuck Smith has been great, and he's been a main reason why they've turned it around.
Yeah, I thought that was just really cool. I think giving credit to people that don't necessarily get the credit that they deserve. And I'm not saying it's solely him, but it's hard to dismiss the
impact.
There's the word. There it is. Fresh out of school.
You see that? Look at that.
Yeah, you're doing well. Oh, there's Rocco. Just kidding. He's not there. There's Zach though. But Sean Merriman also said Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, that's the best tandem he believes in the NFL. And they are playing physical. They are flying around the field, and it should be a great one. So Kevin, because I know you're actually doing a stream in about, in 25 minutes or so, I believe. Is that right? And you have a consecutive streak of 140 shows. Is that what we're approaching?
1,140 shows.
What?
Holy
how did you
shirts and
sell
pants.
the man so short? You sold the man.
God.
I heard it wrong, but Kevin,
140 straight, 1,000.
yeah, Kevin, you know what? You're on your way to 2,632. Not that number matters. It's irrelevant, especially in Baltimore.
I wonder where I've heard that one before. Yeah,
never heard of it myself, but it just came to me. It just popped up. It's nuts. But you're so consistent, and that's what makes it so fun. Why people want to keep coming back for more with you. But before you go, can you just give us your prediction? Then Ravens, Jags, right here. Who do you think wins on Sunday?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of a close game. There's a path where I think there's a blowout. I'll say I'll give a weird score, like 33-27. Maybe a touchdown. Maybe it comes down to who has the ball last, who forces the big turnover last, or maybe it comes down to a field goal late. But I think the Ravens, they're playing so well right now for the most part, where I find it hard to pick against them, especially against a team like Jacksonville, who's kind of in a skid. So I'll give it that.
All right. Well, we'll hold it to you. And I'm going to put, I'll sprinkle maybe a few dollars on Kevin. There it is. Kevin's one of my favorite Twitter pages. And Tater Tots, hadn't seen you in a while. Glad you're back. But Kevin is great. We're excited for it. And I will sprinkle, on a final score, Ravens 33-27. We'll see what those odds are, and we'll see if we're a winner come Sunday night. But Kevin, Appreciate you. Thanks for hanging in. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you as time goes on. Enjoy the show. For anyone that doesn't know Kevin, Locked On Ravens. Am I missing anything else with it?
No, Locked On Ravens is where I'm at. Yep.
All right. Awesome.
Go follow him. Go follow the guy.
There he is.
Follow the guy.
All right, Kevin, you enjoy. We'll chat. We'll talk later. And hey, go Ravens, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday night.
Go Ravens, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a blast.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah.
Now beat it. Get out of here. All right. Great guy, honestly. And he's really detailed about what he's talking about. And I think that's what people appreciate. And yes, I messed up the consecutive days. I thought he said 100. I'm like, that's 140 is great. Yeah.
When you said 140, I was like, oh, wow, you were really hyping it up like it was going to be more. And then he was like 1,001. And I was like, that is such a big difference. Like, it's not like it was like 1,000, or you said like 1,000. And he was like, actually, it's 1,100. Like,
yeah, no, I was off by 1,000. I get it. I'm aware. I'm aware how far I'm off. And I'm not afraid to say I'm wrong here. All right. Some of you guys have a tough time admitting when things are wrong.
You're like 0 for 3 tonight. Sounds like a night in Delmarva for you.
Oh, God. Man, you know what? One of the worst days of my professional career was actually in F Town, by the way, not Delmarva. I went 0 for 6 with 5 punchies. What? What?
Nobody calls it F Town.
Well, you know what? If you weren't on the Frederick Keys 2019, you know we said a lot of things.
Oh, also,
go Fred.
What do they call it? What do they call it going 0 for 5 with, or 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts? Is there like a name for how bad you were that night?
The average Tuesday night for Ryan
I forget
Ripken.
what 5 strikeouts is. And I remember I went to the cage and just hit by myself for a while until my hands were almost bleeding. And then I went back, had like, you know, it felt like I had a bottle of tequila. I might have. And then woke up the next day.
That's the golden sombreros 4 times in a single game. Is that like the platinum sombrero then?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's not fun. I think that was the only time I've gotten the golden sombrero too, like a part of it. But you know what? Even the kicker too, I struck out twice. In 2 of those 5 strikeouts were with guys on third base to win the game. And your boy didn't come through. So it was tough. And Tequila became a good friend. Tequila became a good friend then, and it's a great friend now. But while we're on the baseball topic, because things happen, we're going to get back into talking about a little bit of football and some spicy topics here in a second. But guys, there's some breaking news. And I think, Rock, you actually were blowing up our little chat here. The Dodgers make a big move acquiring a couple Tampa Bay Rays. You got that on you right now?
Yeah, I got both passing tweets as far as baseball goes. One involves a former Oriole, one involves Tyler Glasnow. So the first one, Jeff Passan is reporting the Dodgers and the Rays are in agreement to trade Tyler Glasnow and Manuel Margot to the Dodgers for Ryan Pepiot, Johnny DeLuca, and contingent on Glasnow signing an extension with LA, which is expected. Sources tell ESPN. And then Passan also tweeting, right-handed starter Jack Flaherty and the Tigers in agreement on a 1-year, $14 million deal. Sources tell ESPN. So there you go. There you have it.
So let's start with the big one first. Dodgers. You think that they care about spending? Do you think they care about anything? They're going for a super team out there. I know they really wanted Randy Arozarena. That was a guy that they really wanted, and who wouldn't want Randy? He does his pose, and he hits over 1,000 OPS, or he has 1,000 OPS in the postseason. The guy's a bona fide superstar.
Bona fide. This is the second time. I let it slide the first time when you said to Kevin, bona fide.
Bona fide?
Okay, let's continue.
Is it bona fide or bona fide?
Bona fide.
Well, apparently I say especially instead of especially.
Yeah, whoever commented
you do say that a lot, but I've said bona fide too.
That.
You remember we talked about NBA Street Volume 2, bona fide. He was one of the characters on that. He was like one of the unlockables. So, yeah.
Okay, let's.
You know what?
I don't know if anyone remembers that, but like
that
I
game
do.
Stretch
Monroe. Yeah, Little Biggie.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go play that game. That's one of my favorites. We're gonna get
back on.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, it's a massive deal, and I get it. Tater Tots is saying owners with deep pockets, but it's also thinking about what the Dodgers have done. Let's just take it out. The Dodgers are really, besides maybe the Yankees might be spending really big here upcoming. The Dodgers are so locked into this, And yes, they're in a massive market. Ohtani's working with the team to make this more manageable for them. But the Dodgers are fully in for the next 5 to 10 years. This is their window. And Freddie, I'd say the next 5 years. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, they're in their primes. In the next 5 years, it's going to be a different outlook. You have Ohtani that does everything. No guarantee he's going to be the same pitcher, but you hope. Now you're adding Margot's a very, very solid player, but the big news is Glasnow. That dude's a stud. And when he's healthy, and he's coming off of with Tommy John, I believe, last year. So when he is fully healthy and he came back, and you started to see it last year that he was finally getting back to that form, that's going to be a disgusting rotation they're going to have. And that's still with the fact that Yamamoto, right, has not signed anywhere, at least as I'm speaking right now.
Yeah, he visited Philly today. And also I want to point out, because yes, the Dodgers are going to extend, it looks like, Glasnow. I think that's part of it. But to pull off a trade like this, it doesn't just take money. The Dodgers, as much as people give them crap for buying championships or attempting to, they only have one.
Yep.
But for always being this big market trying to buy players, the reason they were able to pull this trade off is because they have a top 10 farm system. So the Dodgers are one of those weird teams where it's not like some of these big, when you think of the Yankees and stuff, where it's their big stars and then nothing else. They'll just go buy whoever's next. The Dodgers are consistently churning out good young players that they then trade and get these stars back so that they can then pay massive money.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point you made. The Dodgers farm system is actually sneaky, very solid. That's why their run continues. They can get players. And when other teams try to do it, when they decimate, when you look at the Los Angeles Angels, the other team out there, they have one of the worst farm systems. And you can see when they try to buy talent and they don't have the homegrown talent, you're not going to be able to have enough success. And that's the problem. That is the reality of the situation. New York, he actually usually has a pretty solid system, but some of their moves, they've been missing a couple parts. But New York, that's the reason why they've been relevant, is because they've done a good job with their farm system. Now, I want to flip this on the Tampa Bay side so people can understand for Orioles fans. Tampa does this all the time. When they realize that they are not going to be able to extend a guy, they're going to go and get the highest value they can for these specific players. So who they're going to get, or who they got back, I am very confident that Tampa Bay is going to have those players be very successful for them.
Sadly.
That's just what they've done.
That's what they do. That's the Tampa Bay Rays run on like a 5-year cycle. And it's like, have a really good young team that then wins 80 games, then wins like 90 games, wins 100 games. Everyone's like, oh my God, these guys are so young and good. Then they trade them all, start over, win 80 games, win 90 games, win 100 games, go for a World Series, trade them all, start over. And it's just they never sign anyone to these extensions. They just are very okay with being like, we're good at what we do. We're good at going out and developing these guys. So why would we pay $100 million for a guy that we can trade you for 3 guys that we can develop into good ball players?
Yeah, honestly, the Rays, every time we faced them, their minor league system, they just were disgusting. It felt like they were a machine. They kept battling back over and over and over again. And by the way, Randy Rosarina, who they're keeping right now, that was a byproduct of being traded there. That was a package deal that they were able to get. So he didn't come through their system. They have traded for guys that turn out to be stars. And the other one, Blake Snell, when they realized we're going to trade him at peak value, they traded him away. Now, Blake Snell's still one of the best players, but that's how Tampa works. So if you think Tampa's just going to fall off the face of the earth,
no,
they're not. But does that diminish their beginning outlook to this season? It's a little bit different because you are losing an ace of the staff. And keep this in mind, Shane McClanahan, their other ace on their team, is going to be coming back from, I believe he had Tommy John surgery, and he's not going to be back for the majority of the season. So that is a boost for the Baltimore Orioles in the sense that the Rays are not as strong right now. But, man, do me a favor, everyone. Do not count the Rays out.
They lost their entire – they lost what – I was going to say they lost their entire rotation last year and were still competitive. So you can never count these guys out.
Yeah,
I'll make that argument. And since the All-Star break, the Rays were actually pretty fucking terrible. I'll say this: they're probably going to start off terrible. We'll see what happens in the second half of this season, but it's going to be a down year for the Rays. I'm making that prediction. And also, the Dodgers are going to choke again in the first round of the playoffs.
I think so.
Moving on.
What do you consider a down year for the Rays? Because I consider a down year for the Rays them just like 77 wins.
Well, for them not being a contending for the division, not making the playoffs would be a down year.
Okay.
So that's what Brad's saying. I think the
That's
prediction is they'll be down. And the other part of it, just Brad, I know we got to move on, but with Jack Flaherty, he's gone now with the Orioles. He's not coming back. $14 million contract for 1 year. I know people didn't love the sensation or they felt like he was a good fit. I think Flaherty can have a really, really good year. He's talented, but I get that that's not how people in Baltimore felt. The same way that Phillies fans felt with Craig Kimbrell down the stretch. But I think Craig Kimbrell's going to have a great year in Baltimore.
We thought the same thing when he came here, though, Rep. We thought the same thing when he got traded here. And what I think Jack Flaherty needs is he just needs a fresh start somewhere other than Baltimore. So good for him. Yeah. He got paid 1 year for, maybe not in baseball terms he got paid, because 14 mil, is that even a lot in baseball anymore?
He got less than
less than Kimbrell.
Well, no, he got more than Kimbrell. He got $1 million more.
Yep.
I think this is what Jack Flaherty needed in his career, just going forward, just a fresh start with a different team, and good for him.
Well, all right, it is. Go ahead, Brad.
Moving on, real quick before we get into anything else, because I want to get into this Ben Roethlisberger drama. We are minutes away from tonight's game, so I just want us to get picks for tonight's games. Chargers at Raiders. Chargers are favored by 3. Total points is 34.5. What we got?
Are you sure they're favored by 3 there? I think it's Raiders are favored because no Herbert, no Keenan Allen.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, Raiders are favored.
And for my fantasy sake, Raiders. We need that defense to ball out. It's fantasy playoffs. So this is the time where you freak out, you stress out for all different reasons, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. I think the Raiders, though, no Keenan Allen, Easton Stick going to Vegas. It could be an ugly game, division game. Raiders.
All right. Zach.
Give me Easton Stick.
Oh, goodness.
Easton Stick is an all-time quarterback name.
It is a good name.
It's incredible. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a mistype when it first got announced that Easton Stick was starting for the Chargers. So yeah.
All right, I'm going Raiders as well. Rocco, get in on this one. Who do you think is taking this game?
Yeah, Rock.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers. Give me Easton Stick. Give me the Chargers. I know they're down Keenan Allen. I know they're down Justin Herbert, but you look at the Raiders, they're down Josh Jacobs, and they just put up a 3 or 0 last week.
Goose egg. They got blanked.
Yeah, goose egg. They got blanked by the Vikings. Sorry, that game was so terrible. So this is going to be a slot fest, but give me the Raiders here. Or the Chargers. Sorry.
The Raiders.
Give me the Chargers. Yes.
All right.
The Raiders.
There we have it. We're going to get back to the rest of the picks later in the show to wrap things up. But guys, I put a poll up. First of all, I did put a poll up about Kyle Hamilton. Everybody was in agreement with you, Zach, about sitting Kyle Hamilton. But I put up a new poll, and I asked a simple question. We'll keep this up. Are the Steelers Ravens route? I butchered this. This is my fault. I was trying to do
and you know what? It's okay, Brad, because we make mistakes. Unlike when I make a mistake,
he didn't
stop being so sensitive. Anyway, I'm just saying.
All right,
is the Steelers Ravens rivalry what it used to be? And 60% of people are saying no, 40% saying yes. Quite a few votes in on this one, so I think that there is some truth to that. And Ben Roethlisberger spoke about this on his podcast, and Pat McAfee and the boys were kind of reacting to this as well. So there's 2 parts of this. I wanted to kind of get the first part in here, and then kind of the second part of it as well later on after we react to this first part. So here's what Ben Roethlisberger had to say as Pat McAfee and the boys were reacting to it.
In podcasts about the state of the current Pittsburgh Steelers.
When I left, I was kind of the last guard there, obviously. Like Pouncey left the year before, Dave left, like those guys left, and it was like I was the last one. There was such an age gap for me and everybody else on offense that there just wasn't that Steeler tradition passed down. And you have it on defense, Yikes. Don't get me wrong, but you don't have it on offense right now. And it's just making it really hard. You're not seeing, in my opinion, the toughness on offense. And I say toughness in the sense of a Steeler toughness. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like okay, this guy's soft. Like who's grabbing someone by the face mask and being like,
Yeah.
that's not
That's not what we do.
That's not what we do.
Hell yeah.
Spence.
Is that happening? And yes, again, you have guys on defense doing it, but you need guys on both sides of the ball doing it, because when you're in offensive meetings, when you're in offensive huddles, when you're doing that, you're meeting separately. You need someone to stand up in that room on offense and be like,
I don't got him.
hey, this isn't what it means to wear the black and gold. This isn't what has been handed down from those teams in the 70s.
Teams in the
The
70s,
Steel
that's a long
Curtain,
time.
the 4 Super Bowls, the Knowles, the Bradshaws, I mean, all those people. It's unbelievable.
It's 50 years, Chuck.
And listen, I understand the further you get away from that, the harder it is.
Sure.
I get that. And
Unless
at some
it's being
point,
carried,
unless it's being passed
Shout out
down and
Spencer.
carried away.
Spencer's spot on right there. He knows exactly. But that is literally how Pittsburgh Steelers fans view the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's like, hey, we're a tough team. And the reason why we're a tough team and we're not an embarrassing team or an immature team or a team that bitches and all that type of stuff is because my father's Pittsburgh Steelers team was like that. And my father's Pittsburgh Steelers team was like that. This has been what football has been in this city since I'm yay big. You look around the city, you see the people that are there, hardworking people, love to have a drink or 10.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely love to have a drink or 10. Loyal people, passionate people. It's like the Steelers represented the town in which they were playing for more so than maybe anybody else in the entire country.
Except for the Ravens. And that's why I feel like that the Ravens Steelers rivalry was so good, because you had that toughness mentality, and you still have that with Baltimore, fortunately. But I think there's some truth to what's going on here. And obviously Pat McAfee and Tone Diggs on that show as well. A bunch of his boys are from Pittsburgh, so they're speaking from how they feel. Tone Diggs also went crazy on it. And Rocco, you yourself are a Steelers fan. So I figured I would give you the floor first on this. Is Ben Roethlisberger kind of spot on? I mean, I know that since 2017, he also kind of fell off, and the offense there wasn't as what it once was. But like, what are you feeling as a Steelers fan? Is Roethlisberger onto something?
First of all, thanks for throwing me under the bus, Brad, with all of Ravens block. I'm going to get a lot of hate mail sent to my place here in Baltimore.
Whatever.
Yeah, see, Rick's already saying it right now. But yeah, I am. And I went to the Monday night game in Pittsburgh this year when they played the Browns, and the atmosphere was electric. It was awesome to see the terrible towels flying. It was awesome when they played Renegade, and TJ Watt had that, they forced the fumble on Deshaun Watson, scooped it up for a touchdown. And you're like, all right, this team's hard nosed. The defense is playing. The offense isn't great. But the team I grew up watching and I really enjoyed when I was younger was the teams with Roethlisberger, Bettis, James Ferrier, Larry Foote, Casey Hampton, James Harrison. Those guys, they would punch you in the mouth. Troy Polamalu, Ryan Clark, Deshae Townsend. Like, I can go off and name a bunch of these guys. And on the offensive side of the ball, they would hit you in the mouth. They would make you regret playing them. And you knew you were going to get the best version of the Steelers each and every week. Right now, it doesn't feel that way. Sometimes it hurts to turn on the games and watch, because you're like, oh no. Like, I was on the timeline the other day on Twitter, and the Steelers fan I know tweeted, he's like, this is like one of the worst offensive performances that I can remember in my time as a Steelers fan. Like, it's disgusting. It's like, where is this gone? So I just see all the comments right now. Sorry. You're killing me, Brad. You're killing me, Brad. Yeah.
Brad's I don't care at all. I don't give a shit. Screw Rocco.
Back then, I'll say this, guys, like the guys that are, in this chat, like back then I used to have a strong distaste for the Ravens when I was younger because of the Ray Lewises, because of the Ed Reeds, because of the players that were on this side of the ball. And like now there's not, I feel like for the Ravens on that side, there's not as much hatred for the Steelers because they're not as good right now, because they're down. If the Steelers get back to where they feel like they need to be, the rivalry will kind of go back to where it should be. But right now, for Steelers fans, it's like, yeah, I don't disagree with Ben Roethlisberger, but I also think Rick, I'm so sorry, man. So sorry.
I love this. This is
They're
awesome.
killing me right now. But no, it's not great right now in Pittsburgh. It's really not. So it's sad to see.
So, I mean, what do you think that needs? What do you think that needs to change? Is it coaching? Like, is that what it's going to take? Is Tomlin the problem here, or is it just that there needs to just be a complete rebuild? I would say that it kind of feels like it's a culture thing, and then maybe it does start with coaching. Do you think that there needs to be a fresh face as a head coach? I mean, there's been 3 head coaches over the last 50 years or something like that?
No, I still don't think Tomlin's the problem. I think it's there are some fans out there that do. Everyone looked at Canada. There was the Fire Canada chants that originally started. You got rid of Canada, and then it was the fingers were pointing at Kenny Pickett. I don't think Kenny Pickett's the guy going forward for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I truly don't. And every time, we bring up this guy's closing in on passing Kenny Pickett for, you're laughing. What are you laughing about, Brad? No. Dude, you really threw me under the bus here.
Not going to say it.
Really threw me under the bus. But no, I don't. But I don't disagree with people that are upset with Tomlin and the decisions that have been made and holding on to Matt Canada that long for as long as they did. Matt Canada probably coached 5 more games than he should have this season, which is like crazy to say. But it's sad, man. It really is. It's like turning on your TV on Sunday. You expect to see wins. You expect to see a Pittsburgh Steelers team that's going to go out there and fight, and that's not what you're getting right now. So players are pissed off about it. I saw that. I forget who said, like, they took Ben Roethlisberger's comments, and it was Cam Hayward, and he wasn't happy with what Ben Roethlisberger was saying. But like, Ben Roethlisberger has every right to say that because he kind of carried that torch for the Steelers for so long, and these guys, not necessarily the defense, but as a team, they're not holding up their end of the bargain for Steelers Nation.
No, I think in general, I think once you live during that era of Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, Big Ben, Joe Flacco, like that was, for me, that was just the rivalry. One of the top, I would say, I mean, I know it's going to be biased, but I think it's top 2, top 3 in all sports, right? Like you can say Yankees, Red Sox, but for me, when it comes next, I go, man, those Ravens Steelers games for a decade were absolutely electric.
Yeah.
And it doesn't carry that same feeling if we're going to talk about that. But for the Steelers in general right now, we're seeing a lot of Steelers football that we're just not used to seeing. Their defense is still pretty solid, but that feeling, I feel you, Rock. It's not the same Pittsburgh Steelers that we have. Mike Tomlin's still there, but this has been more of a challenge of them trying to find their kind of identity as a group. Rock, you just got absolutely roasted. Brad has no remorse for that. But but the other thing, I'll
this is one of my favorite moments on the show. I've just been taking in the comments section.
No,
I'm just taking it in ear to ear.
Hey, by the way,
here's the thing that I tell everybody though. It's like, I don't root against the Ravens. I don't sit there on Sundays in the press box and go, "Oh yeah, I hope the Ravens lose." That's just not me.
Because you're a professional
the Steelers aren't writing about neither of the Ravens, but like I'm paid to cover the Ravens and do this. So like, I don't know. It's weird. When I got here, I was like, I had to hide all the Steelers posts from before. I had to hide all my pictures, but like, now I guess I got to
embrace that shit. Embrace that shit.
Yeah, be the enemy.
I do, but
doesn't seem like it.
You're a good kid. We even though we can rip on you because you're a part of our group, and the group likes ripping on you because they enjoy
I
rock.
don't deserve the Maryland flag hanging behind me anymore. This is tough.
I mean, kind of
this is the work office, Alan. This is the work office. I know.
This is a work office.
I feel like I just sinned.
No, you didn't sin. Everybody in the comments is full of shit. The disgusting part was that you're a Steelers fan in the closet and you didn't just wear it.
And so what am I going to say on TV every week? Hey guys, I'm a Steelers fan. Hey, nice to meet you. Watch the newscast.
Just own the fact that you're a Steelers fan, and then you got social media. Nobody has control over that but you. I mean, and now you're here, so it's a safe space. You could be a Steelers fan. It's fine. And honestly, I love the fact that you're a Steelers fan because when that rivalry does come back, we all can have some good conversations about that. So I'm good with it. I'm good. with it.
And we love the chat getting in there. We love the
Oh, yeah.
interaction. This
I
is
love
what
it.
we live for.
I'm driving up
Yeah.
the interactions. It's all that matters.
Yeah,
guys.
great content by
You can
Brad
forward
for
all
throwing
your
under
hate
the-
mail towards me to rcripken@gmail.com. Make sure you address it to Ryan and not Rocco. He said Alan goes, I'm going to be wearing a black and gold No, you're not going to see that. Maybe though, just for you, Alan. I'll rock
Hey,
the
and
black and gold tonight.
last time I'll say this, I got drafted by the Nationals. When people ask me, do I pull for the Orioles and whatnot? I'm like, well, no, I'm pulling for the Nats. Like that's a team
you
that.
know what,
that
Ryan? I
drafted me.
think this rivalry is a bit different than Nationals Orioles. Thank you very much.
But people got offended at a time when I said no, like I hope the best for the Nats. Like whoa, and I'm like, whoa, I wasn't drafted by the Orioles when I was with the Orioles. And for the team now, I tell people I have more pride with this team with the Orioles because of the relationships. It's the guys that you know, and I want to see them succeed.
Yep.
Shit changes. Yeah, you can have pride, but hey, Rock, you're a good kid, and people don't forget. Let's move on though, because we got really in there, and Rocco is going to try to get picked up, what's left of him off the ground. But do we have? I think we want to touch on a hair of.
MVP conversation.
That was it.
I'll set the stage here. So Zach and I went on record last week talking about how we felt about Brock Purdy and how there was actually better players on that 49ers team that deserved an MVP consideration over Brock Purdy. And the amount of hate that we got from 49ers fans was absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Insane.
We didn't say
good. You guys literally said Brock Purdy, any quarterback can go play the position.
Yeah.
Wrong.
You did.
I said any top 15 quarterback could go.
You said middling quarterback.
Yep.
Yes.
And I'll stand
That's what
on
I
it.
said.
I'll stand on business.
Same.
Meant
Thank you,
everything.
Zach.
Meant every
Right.
word of it.
Yeah. Same. And I still stand by that.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Pagano on the Pat McAfee show talked about this, and I thought had some really compelling things to say. If you don't think that I know ball, this guy certainly does. And here's what he had to say about Christian McCaffrey's bid for the MVP conversation.
Chatter for somebody that isn't a quarterback this season, and his name is Tyreek Hill. And obviously we saw how valuable he was to the Miami Dolphins whenever he was not playing on Monday night against the Tennessee Titans, even though he would go back in and play at a later time. And I think he's back in there. Kyle Shanahan, head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, had a little bit of a take on this entire thing and went to bat for one of his players, a player that they traded for, and immediately upon becoming a San Francisco 49er, became the focal point of a team that would have ridiculous amounts of success immediately until they run in the NFC Championship game, and then right back into a ridiculously successful run. Here's Kyle Shanahan talking about CMC.
Ooh. Trying to get me in trouble with those two guys. That's the only reason I wouldn't overly comment on either one of them, because I don't want them to cancel each other out. But if any non-quarterback's going to get an MVP, I don't get how Christian McCaffrey can't. I mean, he's amazing in what he's done all year. If it's going to a quarterback, then I don't have to talk about Christian. I can talk about our quarterback. And I'm still, if his numbers is all you see, then I think that solves it up. But if you watch the film, then it makes it even stronger, which to me is the most important thing.
Love a head coach openly campaigning for his players, and obviously they have a very tight-knit group over there. Christian McCaffrey is a freak show, but I think he falls into the same conversation that Brock Purdy does. It's like so much talent over there. Yep. You kind of get lost in the sauce, but he's been the focal point since he got there, AJ.
Yeah, he's been doing everything for them, and when the guy can stay healthy, which he pretty much has during his time there, I feel like he's just such a weapon. But when you think about it, and I don't want to start talking about all the other talent, but that's all I'm thinking of. Look at Debo blocking on the edge, Kittle, obviously Trent, everyone downfield, Ayuk. Like, they do have so much talent. They're just such a good team right now. So if they can find a way to stay healthy, yeah, I mean, does he actually have a legit chance? What kind of run does CMC have to go on to actually really have a chance to be the MVP?
He has no shot because of all the people we just talked about right there. And look at the team. I mean, the buy-in to the run is also awesome, and that'll even be held against Christian. Well, he's got a tight end who's the greatest blocking tight end of all time there. They got every wide receiver, even their superstar wide receivers are willing to block downfield. You almost become a victim of good culture. And it's like it's a wild chatter piece. It's a wild conversation. But whenever you think about Christian McCaffrey, Coach Pagano, why is he different than everybody else? Is it because it's the perfect situation for a freak athlete, and that's why maybe he doesn't get as much chatter about potential MVP conversation? decision?
No, it's when you go into a game and you say you put the game records up. He's first and foremost. Every coach says, okay, they put him up. This is where it starts. Even though they have Debo.
Hold on. To your point there, Michael Lombardi said last Tuesday, he said, if we have to prepare for you on Tuesday, you're an MVP candidate is what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
Which is Christian McCaffrey. Go ahead.
Exactly right. He's 100%. Because even though the quarterback's playing like he's playing, damn good player, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. This guy, because he out of the backfield, jet sweeps, split him out, play him as a slot, play him out wide by himself, put a linebacker. You can't. He's a mismatch. So who are you going to put on him? You're going to can't stop him when they're just running the ball, hand it to him, and then you put him out in space, linebacker, safety. You got to double him. You got to double him on third down. Like if it's 3rd and 2 to 6, you have to start with him and double. And all you other guys, hey, good luck.
So Chuck Pagano had high praise for Christian McCaffrey, and I felt like he made a strong argument for Christian McCaffrey to take that MVP spot over Brock Purdy. And so that's ultimately the point that I was trying to make, even though I still think Tyreek should be in the front runner for this year's MVP.
I think that non-quarterbacks deserve more recognition. They really do. Like, we saw when Tyreek was banged up last Monday night and the impact when Tyreek's not on the field. You can see it. You can feel it. Tyreek is one of the best players. He deserves consideration. Christian McCaffrey is one of the best players. He deserves consideration. And I got no problem with that. I think the only thing that I was alluding to is people want to discredit Brock Purdy so quickly because of everyone that's around them. I think Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy both deserve the right to be an MVP. And quite frankly, I'm going to stick with this. Between Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, and Lamar Jackson, and Brock and Lamar have to play each other. If any of those quarterbacks run the table, one of those quarterbacks is going to win the award, especially with Tyreek a little bit banged up. And Christian McCaffrey, even though he's having a great year, he's going to have to do something even crazier to overpass one of those quarterbacks. You might not like that, but that is the reality, that one of those 3 quarterbacks to me is going to win the award. And I can see Zach is just staring at me.
Will Christian McCaffrey win the MVP? No. But that does not mean – I think that's the point me and Brad are making is they won't give the award to a Christian McCaffrey or a Tyreek Hill, but they should, because neither – Brock Purdy is not as deserving as Christian McCaffrey or Tyreek Hill. And for all the 49ers fans out there who are going to say I'm a hater for that, that does not mean I think Brock Purdy is a bad quarterback. No. He is very good. He is a top 5 MVP candidate. He should not be above Christian McCaffrey. I don't know how I was seen as a 49ers hater by saying their running back should be MVP, but that's another story. So yeah, should Christian McCaffrey win MVP over Brock Purdy? Yes, I think he is more valuable. Will Brock Purdy receive more votes and have way better of a chance of winning it over Christian McCaffrey? Without a doubt. But that's because it's a quarterback award.
Rocco.
Steelers fan. Get the terrible towels.
I hate you guys.
Are you
so
swinging
much.
a terrible towel right now? Oh, sorry.
No, but I could bring one if you want. I agree with what you said, Rip, with these guys running the table. I like Lamar's odds right now a lot. And that's not to get in good graces with the Ravens fans right now. That is because
good graces.
The upcoming schedule that they have coming up. The guy just let a comeback against the Rams, and whether you want to say one thing or another about the Rams record and that they were 6-6, this or that, he led a comeback drive to take the lead. Then the Rams, of course, went down and kicked the game-tying field goal, and then Tylan Wallace came through and had that big-time punt return for the touchdown to walk it off in overtime. But 3rd and 17, Lamar to find Zay Flowers once, and then Lamar to find Zay Flowers twice, 2-point conversion. That was a big, crucial drive, and he stepped up in such a big way there. And like we've said before, the Ravens have the toughest remaining schedule in the NFL, with that game included, with the Rams. And then you got the Jags, you got the 49ers on the schedule, the Dolphins, and then you finish with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if Lamar Jackson can rattle off, I saw Houston say a couple of Jackson 5s, and superstar Lamar is right back in the lead for MVP. I don't think he needs Jackson 5s to get in the lead for MVP. I think if he has a couple really good, solid games, he doesn't turn the ball over, he throws for 2 to 3 touchdowns, gets it done with his legs as well, and puts his team in a position to win, the people who vote on this award are going to see that. They're going to see what Lamar Jackson is capable of. Now, he's not my front runner right now. It's still a guy like Tyreek Hill, because you saw what happened when you took Tyreek Hill off the field and how valuable he is to that offense. Even if he's not at 100%, he's going out there, he's willing to make plays. In the second half, he had a couple big catches. So Tyreek Hill right now, if he stays healthy and if he can pass 2,000 yards, should be the MVP. But like you guys said, this is a quarterback's award. I have no problem with Brock Purdy being up there. But to Zach's point, I do agree that Christian McCaffrey is the most valuable player on that team at this point in time. And that is not Niner Nation. We're not hating on Brock Purdy right now.
Rocco is such a Niners hater. Zach hates the 49ers.
Zach is a known Brock Purdy hater. So listen, Zach Bollinger on Twitter. Send him all your hate. Send him everything you got. Come at him, because he's the biggest Brock Purdy hater out there.
Calling him out. We're revealing everything about ourselves.
You know what's super funny though?
Right now.
You know what's super funny is, in my friend group back in college, like, I'm the biggest Brock Purdy defender. So for me to be like seen as a Brock Purdy like hater on this show is like, I have to play both sides now. Because in one group, I like him too much, because I was saying he's like, he can take them to a Super Bowl, and everyone's like, he's a fraud. Then when I say the top 5 MVP,
here's my final thoughts on this, and then we can move on. For me personally, if you take Christian McCaffrey away from that team, it is a stark different team. Like they're going to start. They're going to be the three losses in a row type team that we saw earlier this season. If you take Brock Purdy away, they're not going to do as well. But I think that they're still way more manageable without Brock Purdy than they will be without Christian McCaffrey. And so that's the final point that I'll make. Moving on, we got NFL picks to make. We got week 15 picks coming up. The play clock picks are on their way. Guys,
Rocco, you know the drill.
No, I was looking at Joe calling Zach a closet 49ers fan. Just know it, buddy.
Everyone.
You know me.
Joe, Zach is actually the one who turned off the lights in the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that was actually Zach. So
Zach actually was still in diapers then. He actually was still.
Yeah, he was.
I didn't know how lights worked back then.
Yeah.
I still don't. I just figured out how to change those.
He just learned how to walk up the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
All right.
All right. I'm gonna.
All right. So we've already covered.
Yeah, Rocco. Thanks for coming.
We already covered tonight's game. I think it. I'm still going Raiders because of that defense. Max Crosby is back.
Well, I hope currently right now Raiders up 14-0.
Yeah, that it.
Oh, yeah. Don't tell me that White went off.
Yeah, well, he has one of them at least. I do.
God damn it!
Yeah.
God damn it! All right,
who got the second one?
Passing touchdown
to who?
Let me see if it updates.
I'm going to take the Raiders.
We already picked this.
I know. That's why I just
picked the Chargers.
That's why.
All right, let's get on the clock. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. First up this Saturday, we got our first round of Saturday games. It's Vikings at Bengals. Bengals are favored by 3.5. I'm going to take Bengals. The Vikings don't look the same without Dobbs, and so I think the Bengals actually do even better than 3.5. I would. Jake Browning is that dude. I just have full faith in him. The Bengals haven't skipped a beat since he ended up being the starting quarterback. I'm going Bengals.
I got to hop on Bengals too. I think Jake Shiesty.
Yeah, they look good, except for that game against the Steelers, because the Steelers just do the weirdest shit to opponents. Did it to the Ravens too. And if the Steelers make the games ugly, they can win. The Vikings can't do the same thing to the Bengals. I think the Bengals keep rolling and they could sneak into the playoffs.
Speaking of the Steelers at Colts is also the other Saturday game. Colts are favored by 1.5. I'm going to take the Steelers just because I just don't believe in the Colts, and I would take the Steelers defense over anything at this point. So I'm going Steelers.
Give me the Colts. I'm feeling it. I think the Colts. Give me Minshew Magic.
It's a coin
Jorts.
flip, you know.
Yeah, that I just hate that game.
Yeah,
I hate that game so much.
It's not. I don't think it's gonna be a pleasant game for anyone that's not a Steelers or Colts fan. But
I'm a Steelers fan.
Well, we do.
We have a Steelers fan.
Hey, yes, we do. But guess what? I actually, for this game, do like the Steelers. Jonathan Taylor's out for that game. You're going to have Zach Moss. But the bigger thing is, I still believe Mike Tomlin. That team, the Steelers just got embarrassed. They just lost to two teams consecutively with 2 wins on their season at home. I think Mike Tomlin gets the guys ready. They're ticked off. They're pissed. They pull out a victory and get to 8-6.
All right, last Saturday game is Broncos at Lions. Lions are favored by 4. Lions have been a interesting team to watch over the last couple of weeks. The beginning of the season, you thought that they were going to be the clear front runners of the North, and they still might be, but Broncos have been on an absolute tear. I'm taking Broncos here, despite the Lions being favored by 4.
God, give me Danger Russ. Danger Russ. We are high kneeing it into Detroit. They're beating them. Sean Payton's hot.
I love what the Broncos are doing, and maybe this pick is based off of my fantasy, what I need for fantasy football, but I think Detroit has to bounce back. I think they have to play better at home. Primetime game Saturday night. I love what Danger Russ is doing, but I do think the Lions bring a toughness. I think their offense gets figured out enough to be able to squeak by Denver.
It's that defense of the Broncos that are going to give it to Jared Goff, I think. But nevertheless, moving on to the Sunday games, Falcons at Panthers. The Suck Bowl is here. The Falcons are favored by 3 points in Charlotte. I'm going to take the Falcons. Should be easy call there, I would think.
Yeah. Can you even pick the Panthers like after what they've shown this year?
Nope.
You can, but
I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm Falcons as well. I think the Panthers, it's just a lost year. I feel bad for Bryce Young, and especially since your owner really
sucks.
Your head coach wanted Stroud, and then your owner made it clear that they also were thinking of Stroud.
Yeah, just not ideal if we're being honest.
Not ideal.
Right,
what we got next?
Bears at Browns. This is going to be a very interesting game. The Bears defense have really turned it on second half of the season. We saw Montez Sweat really come into his own with that club. And then you have Joe Flacco Horn with the Browns. Brownies officially signed Joe Flacco to a 1-year deal. Flacco's feeling himself right now. We saw what he did in the locker room. I'm going to take the Browns, even though I think that it's going to be a really close game. So does Vegas. Browns are favored by 3.
Give me the Bears. I just think that, like you said, their defense is finally getting into a groove. I like what they're doing there. I think Justin Fields is playing with more confidence. He's starting to get a better rapport with DJ Moore. Is it going to be pretty? No, but I think the Bears take it.
Give me Joe. We're getting closer to January, and he's going to become a superhuman soon. But the games in Cleveland, I love what the Bears are starting to do, but I just don't have that belief yet that they're going to go into Cleveland to win. Really tough game for them, but I do think it's close, but Cleveland wins.
Next up, we got Bucks at Packers. This is a really good game, I think, even though it may not seem like it. Packers are favored by 3.5. Jordan Love coming off a tough loss against the Giants. I don't even know what to make of that game. Bucks, Baker Mayfield, low key, has actually been doing really well with the Buccaneers. I hope they ended up bringing him some more weapons, because the Buccaneers could end up being a dangerous team. But I got to go with Packers. I think it's going to be a bounce back game for them. They're favored by 3.5.
Jordan Love, give me the Packers. Not how they wanted it to go, obviously, Monday night, but I'm with you, Brad. Bounce back game.
Game is in Green Bay. Matt LaFleur lost his first game in December, by the way, last week against the Giants, and they still almost pulled it out. Ugly game. I don't think that happens twice. Give me the Packers, but give me Mike Evans 150 yards and a touchdown.
All right. Then we have Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins coming off of a primetime loss Monday night game against the Titans. Dolphins are favored by 8.5. I don't know what the status is with Tyreek Hill, what he's going through, what we're going to see out of him. If he's doesn't seem like he's going to be 100% there in that game. This is always an interesting, division game between Jets, Dolphins. The AFC East is always a crapshoot. I feel like. I think that there's no way the Dolphins or the Jets cover this game. 8.5 points, I think, is an awful lot to give to the Dolphins, given what we've seen out of them lately. I'm still going to take the Dolphins, but I'm not confident about it.
No, I think it comes down to the health of Tyreek Hill. Of how healthy he is, I agree. I think the Dolphins take it. I don't think they cover 8.5. I mean, that defense, especially if Tyreek is not 100%, I think that's a defense who can take advantage of the Miami struggles right now.
I think if Tyreek plays, Miami squeaks it out still, but I think that this game is going to be so close. I think Zach Wilson proved he was also AFC Player of the Week, by the way.
Which is crazy, but
yeah. I think that they are going to play a really tough game, but I don't think the Dolphins can afford to lose this one again at home. 8.5 is getting covered easy. Hammer that. That would be the lock of the week. But if Tyreek's healthy, playing and out there, give me Miami.
Next up, we got Tommy Cutlets, Giants at Saints. Saints are favored by 6. I don't know what to make of this. I mean, Tommy Cutlets looks like he is that dude. I'm going to take the Giants. This is my dog of the week. Giants are going to go into Nolans and take on the Saints and come out with a dub.
Give me the Giants.
Giants. We're all in. We're all in on it.
Dog of the week.
Dog
of the week, and we're in. And honestly, how do you not?
Cutlets of the week.
How do you not love that his agent's got like the mob hat on? He's having a good time.
His dad's kissing his agent on the cheek after he throws the touchdown. It's just everything about it. I love that damn family. They're also feeding like the entire city of New York before. Have you seen the tailgates? His entire family is like feeding like thousands of people beforehand for free just because they're taking it all in. So,
and
the DeVitos, baby.
The DeVitos, and his mom still makes his bed. Like, how can you not root for Tommy D and the family? Let's go. Let's fucking go. Tommy DeVito. Giants. Put your life savings down on it.
Next
We're right here.
Next up, we got Texans at Titans. Titans are favored by 3. Titans obviously coming off that big win in Miami against the Dolphins. CJ Stroud in this game or no? Do we know?
It is up in the air right now.
He has not practiced this week. He's still in concussion protocol. And Nico Collins is also not practicing currently.
All right. Given what we saw at D-Hop against the Dolphins last week, I'm taking Titans on this.
Yeah, D-Hop revenge game against the Texans. Give me the Titans. Yeah. Mayo boy.
I think Titans as well. Especially if Stroud's out, it's all Titans. If Nico Collins doesn't play, I still think Titans win the game. So give me Titans.
Next, we got Chiefs at Pats. Probably could be the worst game ever, or the Pats end up upsetting the Chiefs. Chiefs are going to be in New England. Chiefs are favored by 8.5 points. Patriots defense has caused problems with good teams. Not saying that the Patriots are going to win, but it's going to be closer than 8.5. I'm still taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, give me the Chiefs. I mean,
the Chiefs can't lose this game. I think the Pats cover this game somehow. I think that there's still going to be some troubles, but there's no way the Chiefs lose this game. Then everyone can go on full red alert problems if the Chiefs lose this game.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? I can't wait to talk about that game if they lose. 49ers at Cardinals. 49ers are favored by 12.5. My goodness. Easy call for me, 49ers.
49ers. But Las Vegas just scored again.
Yeah, it's 21-0 Vegas, by the way.
Jacoby Myers, Jesus.
Yeah, but on that note,
Sorry.
Niners. I think the Niners are just they're on a mission, an absolute mission.
Commanders at SoFi Stadium taking on the Rams. Rams are favored by 6.5. Also easy call for me. I'm going Rams.
Yeah, Rams. I think we saw it firsthand Sunday. They are playing some good football right now.
Yeah. Rams. I don't think people realize that this team actually, if they get in the playoffs, they're not
not someone you want to see in the playoffs.
They don't match up well with, obviously no one really matches up with San Francisco, but if they had to play Dallas again, and I know they got smoked by Dallas, but a healthy Stafford with Cooper Kupp and Puka, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Rams.
Speaking of Dallas, the Cowboys are in Buffalo against the Bills. Bills are favored by 2.5. I think the Bills are coming out with this game. They look like a different team since their offensive coordinator got fired. And I really like what the Bills are doing, and they're in Buffalo. Give me the Bills.
Give me Dallas. I think as much as Brad hates it, this is Dak's MVP game.
You know, I saw some people say that if Josh Allen wins this game, he's going to jump ahead in the MVP
Oh my God.
votings. And I'm not going to go that far, but I do think Buffalo wins this game at home. Dallas is unbelievable when they play in Dallas. I have reservations of going on the road in Buffalo. Buffalo, actually, in the AFC, if I'm being honest, that's a team right now I'd be scared to face.
That's so hard to play Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead.
Ravens at Jags, Sunday night game. Jags are favored by 3. Oh no, sorry, Ravens are favored by 3. I'm gonna take the Ravens. I don't. I think that the Ravens do actually end up blowing out the Jaguars. Just bold prediction here. I think it's going to be a blowout. Don't think it's going to be as close as people might think. There isn't Trevor Lawrence isn't 100%. We kind of saw that last week. So I'm taking the Ravens, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close.
Ravens have scored, correct me if I'm wrong, 30 points in. Is it 6 of 7 or 5 of 6 of their last
5 of 6
games? 5 of 6. 5 of their last 6 games. Banged up Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to go with Brad here. I think it's Ravens. I think it's by 2 scores.
I think this is the last stand for the Jags as far as to stay into the 1 seed mix. They've had really 2 disappointing games, and we talked about when the Ravens play in Pittsburgh, weird shit happens. I think it's going to be a weird game down in Jacksonville. Ravens win the game, but I think it's another one. I'm going to have to take a shower at like 1:30 because my adrenaline's going to be too high from this game. I can't even relax. But Baltimore wins, and then really they have a clear-cut path to that number 1 seed.
Lastly, let's go ahead and get on the Monday night game just to get it out of the way. Eagles at Seahawks. This is going to be another huge game as well. I'm going to take the Seahawks. The Eagles have the 31st ranked pass defense, and DK Metcalf has been on an absolute tear. I'm especially if Geno Smith plays. If Geno Smith plays on Monday night because he is questionable with that groin injury. I'm taking Seahawks in Seattle.
Give me the Seahawks. I mean, ever since Sirianni did the thing against the Chiefs where he screamed at the fans afterwards, they had that barely pulled it off against Buffalo, and then they've lost 2 straight.
Yep.
I'll be different. Philly. I think Philly goes in and wins it. They got embarrassed on the national spotlight. They got embarrassed by the San Francisco 49ers. I believe still that Jalen Hurts is going to go out there and play well, and I think their defense is going to do enough, not great, but I think it's going to be a very entertaining Monday night game. But give me the Eagles. They fly back to Philly, trying to at least, get back on track.
Yep. All right. That's our games. And by the way, I should have done this before, but Ryan, you sucked last week.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was in first place for the time being. You just want to mention it because you weren't.
Well, Zach and I are both coming for you because Zach and I were 10 out of 13 last week. You were 7 out of 13.
Am I still in first?
By 2%.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I had a down week. See what I'm talking about, Zach? See what I'm talking about?
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Coming.
Are you wearing? Is it Louis?
Yeah, I got baggage. That's Louis.
You're a good kid. I think we got news too. By the way, did Rocco?
Yeah, no. There's. I think Rocco just left again, but no, there.
Show the chair.
Yeah, show the chair. As Rocco has now disappeared in 2. He's not here in 2 different screens. He's still joined, not to. Oh, Rocco. But yeah, so according to a few places, it looks like the Orioles and the state of Maryland have agreed to a new lease with Camden Yards. They are voting on it Monday.
Whoa. Hey now. Remember when everyone was worried the team was going to leave and they just never were, and people were still getting frustrated about it?
Well, they were just in Nashville for the winter meeting, so I guess they did go to Nashville.
Well, because the winter meetings were down in Nashville.
Yeah.
The Orioles are not leaving anywhere. I'm glad it's finally getting done. And we didn't have a chance to really do our full ride around segment on Adam's Jeep, but I do realize, because in this case, people feel relieved, But the reality, too, the Orioles are not going anywhere. Camden Yards, one of the best ballparks. But if you are a fan of the Caps and the Wizards, your team is leaving, more than likely, Capital One Arena. Now, there's still a chance it has to be voted upon, but they're going to be moving outside into Northern Virginia. And if everything goes right, that the Caps and Wizards will be playing there in 2028. So that's a reality for fans. And now it's crazy to think DC, even though they're in the vicinity, there will only be one team that is in the district, and that is the Washington Nationals. But big news for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah. Thanks for breaking that, Rock. Appreciate you.
Yep. I like Joe Zach doing real journalism while Rocco leaves the room.
Well, Rocco's probably actually doing legit journalism.
Yeah.
At work. And then all I did was read off what he sent us.
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
Oh,
there he is. Rocco.
He's going to say something. Forget he's on mute.
Rocco, you're on mute. You're on mute. There you go.
It is.
I did not go to call my bookie in Pittsburgh.
No, what?
That's not what
Houston
we're.
said.
That is not
Okay.
what we said.
Okay. Well, hey, Rock, you missed it. We did talk about the Orioles and the lease agreement. That's a yay, but we also were like,
is it though? Is it a yay? Is it a yay right now until everything's done?
No, that's what.
Okay. Yeah.
There's hope.
My thing is, I don't. For me, I hate sounding this way. I really don't. I don't give a shit. It's gonna get the Orioles are staying. I want it for the sake of everyone's, own well-being for it to be done.
Yes,
but it doesn't. It doesn't matter.
And no more reports as far as it goes. I cannot wait to see the press release and the joint press conference they're going to have at Camden Yards when it does get done, which is the hope. And everyone's happy. But until that happens, I'm sure there are many fans out there that still just have not necessarily a pit in their stomach, but they're still until this gets done, it's not done.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Because this just happened last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Did it not?
No, but that's my point of it is that's why I say I don't really care. It's a yay if it gets done, but I was never in the boat of worrying about it because Baltimore, they're staying there, guys. They're not leaving. The MLB would step in if that happens for the Orioles to leave. It's not going to happen. But Rock, we did mention. Can you just give a little bit of context because you had a couple notes on the Caps and the Wizards moving? That if it gets approved, when would construction start for those teams leaving?
Quick, please.
2025 construction for a 2028 opening for that arena and entertainment district.
Well, there it is, right there. That's
It's
hard-hitting journalism. Brad, was that quick enough?
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, I think we got to everything. Of course, we always are. Are we missing anything else?
Nope.
No, I think we got it.
We're good. We already know Joe Flacco officially signed, all that good stuff. Well, it went longer. Things happened. I'm glad we did touch on some Orioles or some big breaking news. We'll get that out actually as soon as possible. But for everyone else, if you're new to the show, thanks for stopping in. If you are a returner, which we have plenty, thank you. And thank you for roasting Rocco. Nothing makes us happier here at the Ryan Ripken Show than to really make Rocco, feel special.
Yeah. By the way, Rocco is a Phillies fan. Have a good night.
And that does it for the Ryan Ripken Show. We'll see you again on